really excited to be here. Thank you so much for making the time in your very, very busy days to come over here and hear a little bit from me about where we are and where we are going as a district. The slides are behind us. You guys are fine, but I was thinking of, you know, when I'm in a school and we're in the gym and no one can see the slides, they could follow along on their phone if they so choose. So I'm always starts with our points of pride because we have a lot to be proud of, and all of you in this room are a big part of it because the work that you do every single day ensures that our buildings can run smoothly and that our educators can really take care of our kids and achieve these amazing feats. We are still #1 in the metro area for the second year in a row, so we're really proud of that. Our graduation rate absolutely soared last year. It is now 92.2, which is the highest it has been in 15 years in Douglas County. And so we're really proud of that. Our academics continue to exceed pre-pandemic level in every subject and every grade. Most districts around the country are really struggling to get back to where they were before the pandemic. So we are actually one of the only districts in the whole country that can say this. We now offer 76 career and technical education and concurrent enrollment pathways. This is a really, really big deal. What we are finding is that if kids are able to find their passion, and this has always been true if they find their passion in, say, sports or performing arts, but that's not all of our kids, right? If each and every one of our kids can find their passion that they're excited about, studies show that they do better in all their other classes because they're really, really engaged in school and they're really engaged in their passion. So we're really proud of these 76 pathways. Most of them lead to an actual transcript with college credits so that kids can either go out and be immediately certified to go right into their career if they so wish. But even if they wish that, they have a transcript in their back pocket that they can use should they decide at some point to go to college. Or of course, they can go directly to college and have a huge head start. And I've done a lot of engaging across the country about our pathway work here in Douglas County. We really are known as a national leader in this regard, and we are going to continue to thrive in this area because it's all about our kids. And then finally, last year, our kids earned $131 million in scholarships and saved over $20 million in college expenses through getting college credit for the work that they have done in their free PK-12 system. So we are really, really proud of those things, and we certainly plan to continue. Some other things that we've done as a district over the last year, we are really grateful to have passed the mill levy override in 2023. So we spent the beginning of this school year making sure that we had campus security specialists for all of our elementary schools, and we also added a few to our high schools. We also worked with our law enforcement partners to get more school resource officers on board. Douglas County now has more, our school district has more school resource officers, not surprisingly, than any other school district in the state of Colorado. And our school resource officers have done just a tremendous job building those amazing relationships with kids. And a whole bunch of them actually have dogs. I don't know if any of you have been in any of our Castle Rock schools, but all of our Castle Rock school resource officers have therapy dogs. That just are amazing. It makes the kids, you know, now the school resource officer is like a magnet for kids because the dog is with them. And the Douglas County Sheriff's Office has now introduced a dog with one of their school resource officers because we inserted a little bit of pressure. I did the old, Castle Rock is already doing this. They're so far ahead. That did it. So, you know, sometimes a little friendly competition. We were able to decrease our teacher and staff pay gap by 50% with other school districts, thanks to that 2023 mill levy override. We're still not at the front, but we're at least in the pack instead of like, here's the pack and here's us. We're now in the pack, but we're still kind of lower, but we're in the pack. We also reduced turnover from about 20% to about 13%. We're really proud of that. 13% turnover is really low. And so we're incredibly proud of that. I think that when I first got here, it was close to 26%. So to get down to 13% is fantastic. We really want to keep all of the amazing people that we have in our school district. We launched the Student Support Center Parker that has programming for our students with special educational needs. So we opened a bridge program there. We opened a child find program there. And we're looking at some alternatives to meet our kids with more significant special needs. We did an artificial intelligence pilot in 18 of our schools with Conmigo. And that's been great work. We've also been just working with our teachers across the district about what they're doing with AI, and just we're continuing to work towards how can we leverage this as a system to save everybody time, and more importantly, how can we leverage this to help our kids to give personalized learning to our kids, and how can we make sure that they have the skills in artificial intelligence that they need as they walk into the workforce. How many of you use AI? Yep, see? All right, amazing how fast that happened. When I asked that last year, it did not look like that. Unprecedented access to career and technical education and concurrent enrollment. So we have almost 3,000 kids actually that go to concurrent enrollment or career and technical education, a pathway that isn't in their home high school building. And so by aligning all of those schedules, we have made opportunities available to all of our kids. So any student in our school district can access any pathway in our school district, regardless of where they live or where their home high school is. We've restored many of our bus routes. We are this close to restoring them all. And we engaged in a strategic planning process. A little bit about taking care of our staff. We're really proud of a lot of the work we have done with respect to taking care of our staff that has helped that turnover rate come down so much. In particular, in the last 3 years, our pay increases have been very significant, not just due to the mill levy override, but overall. So our licensed staff have seen 29.4% in increases since 2022-23, classified 24%, and everyone else about 20%. So we're really proud of that over 3 years, especially over 3 years where the economy was getting rougher and rougher. We were happy to be able to do that for our staff. We are doing 0 increase in medical premiums. So for the last 3 years, the district has absorbed additional healthcare costs and not passed them on to our employees, because that's the same thing as doing a pay cut. So we try really hard to absorb as much as we can. We actually cover more of medical premiums than other school districts in the metro area. We cover about 86% compared to 76% across the metro area. We have horizontal lane advancement for our licensed staff, and we actually added steps to the schedule this year so our licensed staff can continue to progress in their career. We have tuition assistance. We still have base daycare for discounts for employees. And new as of July 1, we are going to start paying for license renewals for licenses that are required for the position here at DCSD. And of course, we're going to keep doing free lunches. Stacy used AI to make the little doughboy thing. Isn't that cute? We'll keep doing free lunches. And you can always look at dcsdperks.com to see all the zillions of discounts that you can get. Whether you're buying a new dress for summer, I promise you, probably can get a 20% discount for working in a school district. So go look at dcsdperks.com and see all the places and all the businesses that we partner with to give our employees discounts. And then, of course, we managed after 3 years, because perseverance is a thing, we're modeling it for our kids. After 3 years, we managed to pass that 2024 bond, and we are just incredibly thankful to our taxpayers. Not only did we pass it, we passed it decisively with almost 60% of the vote. We haven't seen margins like that for a tax increase in Douglas County schools in like 30 years. We are really, really proud of the support that our community has shown us by giving us 60% support for our $490 million bond. And work in all of these areas is well underway. We hired a bond director literally the day after the election, And she has been off and running and working on getting this money spent as quickly as possible so that we can get all these improvements in place for our kids and for our district as soon as possible. Now, we have also tackled growth and decline challenges this year. And in fact, I am fresh off of a board meeting from last night where staff's recommendations were accepted on a vote of 7-0, which is really great for our Board of Education. We had to make some recommendations for consolidations in Highlands Ranch. Highlands Ranch, the number of births is way down because Highlands Ranch is an aging in place community, meaning people like me moved here 25 years ago, had children, put the children through the schools, put the children through college, children maybe are off doing whatever, and they're still in their homes. So their home never got replaced by new young families. Has anyone in this room lived in Douglas County for more than 10 years? More than 15? More than 20? More than 25? Well, see, people come and they stay. It's pretty cool, actually. So I didn't keep going. I didn't keep going because I thought it might be wise to not keep going. But so in Highlands Ranch, we have 16 elementary schools that used to house almost 11,000 kids. And today it's getting closer and closer to 6,000. The math doesn't work. We can't have the same number of buildings housing half the number of students and have preserve opportunities for our kids and be sustainable as a school district. So we made the difficult decision to do some consolidations. We are consolidating Heritage Elementary into Summit View Elementary and Saddle Ranch Elementary into El Dorado Elementary and Acres Green Elementary into Fox Creek Elementary. We need our empty buildings. I'm hoping to eventually move us out of leased space so that all of our student programming is actually in an appropriate school building for students. So we will be working on that over the next year or so on how we're going to use those buildings and how we slowly work our way out of the leases that we have across the county. We also made the recommendation in all of Highlands Ranch to move 6th grade to middle school. That will sustain our middle schools for a long time, and it also sustains opportunities and ensures opportunities for our kids. Our 6th graders will have far more opportunities in middle schools than we can possibly give them in elementary school. And then we did make some minor boundary changes as a part of that to try to make as many of our schools in Highlands Ranch as we can sustainable moving forward. And so as I mentioned, that vote was last night. It was 7-0. We have worked really hard to engage with our community. I'm proud to say that we only had about 6 public commenters last night. We're closing 3 schools, so we have really worked hard to engage our staff and our family and our community to help them through this process and help them get to where they're transitioning. And certainly there are plenty of people that are still very upset, as you can imagine. But we're going to work through it with them to make sure that this is as positive a change as possible for their kids. Okay, so how do we spend taxpayer dollars? We actually sent a mailer out to all of our taxpayers in Douglas County that gives some of this information to them, including where their dollars are going. 86% of our dollars are spent for programming in schools that directly support students. That's a really remarkable number. 86% directly on student programming in schools. The rest is for system-wide supports. Many of you sitting in this room, IT, business services, HR, transportation, operations and maintenance, all the things that we need to have in order to keep an organization that is the size of our organization running like a well-oiled machine. In terms of professionals, only 3% of our employees are administrators. So we are really, we try to make sure that we run really lean at the top so that we can keep as much money as close to the students as we possibly can and keep our professionals as close to the students as we possibly can. And then in terms of our return on investment for taxpayers, we actually decreased our tax rate. We passed a $490 million bond, and we were able to decrease our tax rate year over year by just a little bit. So our tax rate is down to 45.5. We were able to do that because our mill levy override is a fixed dollar amount. So as more houses show up, each house pays a little bit less for the mill levy override. So on the mill levy override side, we'll see a steady decline in tax rate. And so this is our total tax rate, 45.5 mils compared to our neighbors. And we are the #1 performing school compared to our neighbors. So we're really proud of the return on investment that we offer in Douglas County for our taxpayers. And we think it's really important for them to know what they're getting for their tax dollars. And we are very proud to once again have more than 40 awards from the Colorado Department of Education. Our schools are doing amazing. The Governor's Distinguished Improvement Award and the John Irwin Award of Excellence are awarded to something like the top 2% or the top 5% of schools in the entire state of Colorado. And we are taking 41 of those awards home, more than any other school district. If you drive through any of our areas in Douglas County, you will see big blue banners on our school buildings that have won awards, which is most of them. Okay, and now I want to do something fun. So this is a test for me. This is my first time. So if I screw it up, yeah, Mark, see how he carefully walked up here? He's just my hovering support when I screw this up. Okay, so.
Channeling my inner Jolie Jones back there.
Yeah, I already warned Jolie. I already warned Jolie. Okay, so hopefully you all know how to do a QR code. So just point your camera and then click open in your browser. All right, does everyone have it? Let me give everyone a couple more. It'll
be on the future slides as well.
All right, I'm gonna give them a second. I see phones in the air. When phones are not in the air, I'll be good. I do remember when we did this last year at one of the schools, a few of the teachers in the audience were looking at it and they were like, I don't have any idea what to do with that. So that's why point your phone. All right, help it. Look at your neighbors if anyone looks completely lost. Okay, excellent. Okay, so next, I think you have a little area where you can join the quiz. So just type in your first name or something that you know you'll remember if you win, because we're gonna have a little contest to see who can answer the questions correctly the quickest. So here are the names coming up. So good job, everyone's putting their names in. We can see up there how many are participating. So look at this is so slick. All right.
I like the corpse spot.
All right, we have got, all right, I think that's most of you. Put your name in at this point. Okay, here we go. What position is DCSD in the Denver metro area? What ranking? These are kind of softball questions, but trying it out. 20 seconds is too long. We'll shorten it next time.
Yes, ma'am.
Awkward pause. All right. Excellent. All right, and then it just goes. Oh, look at that. Most of you won. So we are #1 in the Denver metro area. Good job. All right, here's our leaderboard, because if you answer fast, the faster you answer, good job. All right, you're on your way to big prizes. Okay. What percentage has teacher pay increased in the last 3 years? This is like, did you retain all the exciting information? I should have warned you in the beginning there'd be a quiz. All right. I know, they're so much fun. We are an education system after all. All right, let's see how we did. 29% is the correct answer. 29%. And let's see where we are. How's Liz? Oh, Rick has got you beat out.
Same time.
Rick didn't know the answer.
And no one knew the answers in advance. Nope. All right, what percent of our budget do we spend directly on student programming in schools? Big red bubble. That's my hint. It was in a big red bubble. All right, the correct answer is 86%. Good job, 86%. All right, oh, Rick, you are formidable, my friend. All right.
He's got a target on his back.
How many state awards did we receive? How we doing, Rick? Are we going to hold that number one spot?
Competition over there.
Got to hold on to that spot. All right. 41. I heard some moaning. So close. Oh, Shannon has... Rick, you're not even on the list. Okay. Who is this girl in 1988? Complete with the beautiful curls and the gunny sack dress. I can't. That would be me in 1988. And, Shannon's still on top. And where did they attend prom in 1988? Oh, you'll figure it out. All the way back to 1988.
Or maybe around.
And the correct answer is actually Douglas County High School. So I attended prom in 1988 at Douglas County High School. Isn't that crazy? And so how amazing that I get to be here in front of you today as your superintendent. What an incredible honor. And we're not going to go look up the boy. That's what Debbie was immediately like, who's the boy? I'm going to go find him. All right. Congratulations to Shannon. We have a bag of goodies for you that Allison is going to, thank you, Allison, that Allison's going to take over. Yay. All right.
And it worked. Yeah.
Okay. Was that fun or too cheesy? Was that fun? Okay. Breaks things up a little bit.
We need a picture of Mark.
We could put your prom picture over there too. And no.
I don't know where it is.
Mark's like, that would be a big no. All right. So we have the thing that we have ahead of us that we are almost at is our strategic plan. We have gotten over 4,000 responses to the strategic plan survey, and we had focus groups with about 600 people, from students to staff to educators to families and business leaders. We were able to reach so many people through the strategic planning process. And we are so excited to roll this out next fall. The things that came from the themes that came from the strategic plan are amazing. And they are exactly where we ought to be, in my opinion. So it's so nice to see our community so much on the same page. Our community wants to make sure that we don't lose our focus on foundational skills. Because whatever our kids are going to need to be able to do, they are definitely going to need to read. So our community does not want us to lose our focus on foundational skills. And our community has called out the tension that exists in technology, how we need to make sure our kids are on the leading edge of AI and other things technologically to go into the world that's going to have so much innovation. I believe we'll see more growth, more wealth creation and more growth in the next 10 years than we did in the last century. It's going to be amazing. And that tension between and how early is too early on device uses and what are devices doing to our kids' brains and the constant distractions. So our community recognizes that tension and they want us to really solve for that tension to make sure that our kids get all the benefits of having everything that they need to know to go out into the world and innovate and lead the world, and to make sure that we're really focused on those developing young brains and what we're introducing to them and how to use technology safely and ethically. Our community also had a big focus on what I can only describe, I'm going to have to find a better word probably, but what I can only describe as adulting, right? How many of us have seen either young kids coming into the workforce or kids coming out of school who are struggling with some basic adulting challenges? And we're finding that is a problem more and more. Businesses are identifying it. Families are saying, please, for the love of mercy, help my kid learn to be an adult so that they're not in my house when they're 30. And And so we really need to think about that as a school system. And financial literacy is a big part of it, but financial literacy is just part of it. Adulting involves a lot of different skills. Kids don't get the kinds of experiences that many of us had growing up, and we as a school system have to find a way to fill in that gap and to make sure that they're ready social, emotionally, and everything else to go out into the world and be an adult. So I'm excited about that. I think that introduces some great possibilities for us as a school district and what kind of education we can offer. If you think of an adulting track, again, financial literacy is a big part of it, but it's also, basic home repair and how do you manage your insurance and just so many different things, dealing with getting to work and dealing with a boss and so many different things that we can work on with our kids to make sure they're really ready for the workforce. So there's a lot of exciting things coming down the pike. Certainly our community is leaning into AI and wants us leaning into AI. And so we're really excited to continue to do that. And we think the possibilities are endless for our kids. So we're super excited about their future. And so we have no intention of letting go of the excellence, the academic excellence that we have created as a school system. We want to make sure that we do that. We also want to dream about our kids' futures. We want to help our kids dream about their futures. So many kids today, and this came out of strategic planning too, so many of our kids can't see past here, right? They can't see past what's right in front of them. They don't have those kinds of hopes and dreams and aspirations for the future that get them past whatever the problem is of right now and today. And so that's something we want to help. We want to help our kids dream and aspire and think about how they can be the change that's needed in our world, and they can fix so many of the challenges that are out there in our world. We want to continue to leverage AI, and we want to make sure, as always, that our kids have the absolute brightest future possible. And I can't think of a school district or a group of human beings who are in a better position to build bright futures for kids than Douglas County School District and all of our amazing employees. And so the last thing is we're doing shirts again this year. So hopefully you all ordered your shirts. And we want to do a contest this summer. So Flat Stanley style. How many of you had a kid that did Flat Stanley in second grade, right? Flat Stanley style. So take your Proud to Be DCSD shirt wherever you're going this summer. If it's the sand dunes or Tokyo, whatever, wherever you're going this summer, bring your Proud to Be DCSD shirt and take a picture of you wherever you are. And we're going to have a contest on how many pictures we can get and how many different places, and see if we can place DCSD employees all across the state, the country, and the world. Just a little bit of fun to have with our DCSD pride. And with that, I am going to introduce Mr. Blair to talk about AI. And Mark is going to talk to all of you and our staff in our schools about some of the great and practical uses that we can do right now to start saving people time. Because we are going to have to find a way for our teachers and our staff and all of us to get 10 hours back a week at least, so that we can start to really think about the future and the great things that we can do for our kids. So that is the end of my part. Thank you very much, and I'm excited to see what Mark has to show you. Thanks for everything you do.
So I begrudgingly put on that one picture because Aaron made me. So AI is our superpower. Everybody has it, everybody has access. I was thrilled to see how many hands got raised when we said how many people are using AI. So here's a QR code. I'll share this slide deck as well because I'm gonna fly through a lot of really cool AI things, which is hard for everybody to remember. What was that thing that Mark showed during that training? So I'm making video clips of all of those and posting them on YouTube so that after the fact, a week from now, a month from now, whatever, you guys can come back and look at those. They're not all done yet. It's still a work in progress. You'll see coming soon, but we'll make sure and share the slide deck out with everybody. Please cheat at work. So you're like, why are you talking about this, Mark? So a lot of people in the industry, including education, are finding that people are hesitant to use AI at work because they don't want to be seen as cheating. Okay? We hear about kids cheating with AI in the classroom. Kids have been cheating forever, with or without AI, all right? So let's be real. We want you to cheat at work, Okay, please cheat at work. Please use AI to help yourself. You can see some different things that we've talked about. You know, Stacy used it to create a fun little graphic and stuff like that. There's some amazing ways to use AI that's going to make your life faster and easier and streamline a lot of things. So please, please, please cheat at work. All right? Everybody's afraid of AI. They think it's, you know, this thing that's going to ruin education and stuff like that. Here's a picture from 1986 of teachers protesting calculators. Okay? We have calculators in our watches. We have calculators on our phones. Calculators are everywhere. We've adapted. Years ago, they used to edit film by actually using an X-Acto knife to cut the film and then tape it together. That's where the phrase cutting room floor comes from, because there would be scraps of film on the cutting room floor. All right? We don't do that anymore. It's all digital editing. So we've adapted and we've evolved into newer technologies and things like that. That's what AI is. Superintendent Kane and I were at a conference a couple weeks ago about AI, and one of the VPs from Google was talking about, it's not artificial intelligence. I mean, that's a way to talk about it, but it's ambient intelligence. Soon this is just going to be everywhere. We're not going to talk about, oh, I'm going to ChatGPT to do this thing. It's just going to be there, okay? So we need to embrace that and figure out what are the best ways to use this for ourselves and with our students. So I have to put this slide in to remind myself to slow down just a lot, because AI is moving so fast. There are new things coming out all the time. Education doesn't move at that speed. So how do we find that happy balance between education and the speed of AI for ourselves and for our students? So some AI guidelines. We want to make sure to protect our student data and your personal data, so make sure whatever you're putting in there, you're protecting that. What you get out of AI may not be 100% accurate. Okay, this is your assistant, this is your co-pilot, this is your co-teacher, whatever you want to think of it as. It's going to get the work done about 60, 75%. You have to finish the rest and polish it up and make sure it's accurate and ready to go out to whatever you're doing. Okay, that's where that human oversight, that professional judgment. Always check on copyright. We also have a link to some general AI guidelines that we have. And then we have a link to the DCSD approved software list. So many vendors are now saying, we've got AI in our tool. Okay, let's understand what is that AI doing with our data. All right, so that's where Rick and the STIP team, please make sure you take a look at the approved software list. If it's not on there, let us know so that we can help vet through that, because every vendor is now saying they've put AI into their tool. And sometimes it's not awesome how they're using our data within their tool. So we want to just double check that stuff. All right, so this is just talking, this is really more for classroom teachers, about different ways that AI can be used in the classroom so that we can have kids focus more on human work instead of more AI creation, because there's always that challenge in the classroom is, did the kid use AI to create all this work? Did they just use it to help them? What did that look like? So I think of all the different AI tools that are out there, and this is just a sampling of them. It's just like having multiple screwdrivers in your toolbox, okay? All these screwdrivers have different purposes and different needs. You can't just have one screwdriver to solve everything in your house. You got to have a few, all right? So just like with AI tools, we can't just have one tool to do everything, because that doesn't exist. So we have a variety of tools that are out there that we can use and we can leverage and take advantage of. All right, so now we're going to jump into some live stuff. And I'm going to put... There we go. All right. I have to have a script on here just to remind me what I'm talking about, where I'm going, and what we're doing, because sometimes live demos don't work. Again, I'm going to make video clips of all of these, just so you guys have it. So one of the things I asked AI was, create a picture of something that makes you happy, meaning Gemini. Okay? Gemini created this nice illustration for me of something that made it happy. I then said, create a picture of something to make me happy. And it created this nice rainbow shaded unicorn running through the meadow. Okay, it's a nice illustration, it's not terrible. I'm not opposed to rainbows and unicorns, that's just maybe not my lane. So I said, create a picture of something to make me happy without rainbows and unicorns. Aww. Right? So I made a pretty cool photograph of a puppy running through a meadow. It's pretty impressive, and it does that in about 5-10 seconds. Okay, I didn't tell it to do a photograph, but I could have said do a photograph. So then I said, make the image of the puppy look like a watercolor painting. Okay, so you can see it has a lot of different styles and a lot of different capabilities just in image creation, real simple. So if you're thinking of, I want to add something to this email that I'm sending out, and I want to put in a fun picture or whatever, or I'm sending out a newsletter, have AI generate it for you. Okay, you don't have to go try and find a picture, perfect picture that's copyright free and all that stuff. Just have AI slap it together for you really quick. All right? So let's see here. So Gemini doesn't do a great job of letting me find all of my stuff. So I'm trying to find one of my saved ones over here. And my list keeps going and going. So we've been talking with our Google team about how to improve this process. Where'd it go? I am not finding it now. Oh, here it is. Finally found it. So I've been doing AI challenges with my IT team. So I said, create a picture of a colorful coral reef with lots of fish inside of a beaker. And then I gave it a longer description of what I wanted to have inside of it. And this is just a prompt that I found on the internet of some people just trying to get more people involved in doing something different. And people have asked, why did you have it inside this glass object? Glass is very difficult to render and to create, especially with the reflections and things like that. So this is a good challenge for the AI tool to create. And you can see that's what it created. It did a pretty decent job except for that one little fish that fell out. Sorry, Nemo. Whoops. He slipped. So he fell out of the glass there. But you can see it does a really good job of creating a pretty amazing photo. Okay? So continue to explore with creating images and things like that. Another fun thing to do with, hang on, I'm getting distracted by my watch, is to do some travel plans. Everybody likes to go on vacation. So I said, can you please plan, create a, sorry, I gotta scroll up to get to the beginning. Here we go. Create a travel plan for 4 people to go to Costa Rica for 7 days. Okay, I didn't give it a whole lot of parameters, just how many people and where I wanna go, how long, okay? And it came up with a pretty decent travel plan for us for 7 days. Having been to Costa Rica, it does a really good job. And then it threw in some extra things. Here's some considerations. When's the best time to visit, transportation, accommodations, currency, language, safety, et cetera, okay? I then went in and said, can you please modify the travel plan to include more cultural activities and beach activities? And it went in and went ahead and modified those and changed my whole itinerary for me to include that information. So that's one way you could approach your travel plans. Another way you could approach a travel plan is you can say, create a travel plan for 4 people to go to Costa Rica for 7 days. Ask me any questions to further clarify what I would like to do and have included in the plan. So then it came up and said, here's some possible questions that I need you to answer. Okay, what's your budget? What are you interested in? What time of year, et cetera, et cetera. So I gave it some answers. Said I want to do some wildlife, adventure activities, teacher, culture, local experiences, activity level is moderate. We'd like to go in June or July, don't have any specific destinations, and then it developed that travel plan for me. So again, you don't have to have all the answers in the prompt. You can say, ask me questions to make this better, and it's going to ask you those questions. So leverage the tool to do things a little bit smarter and gain more benefit from it. All right, let's see if I can find number 3. So wish these were in chronological order. Make my life so much easier. So here's one. I like to sometimes tell Gemini who I want it to be, because Gemini's brain is as big as the entire internet. I want to narrow that down, so I give it a persona. So I'm starting this prompt and saying, you are an expert in K-12 curriculum and assessment. I now narrowed it down from the entire internet to, you're just a genius about this. You don't know about everything else so much. And I teach middle school science, so I told it who I am, and I said, give me some examples of activities I can do with my students that require higher order thinking, critical thinking, et cetera, et cetera. So it came up, and I also asked for a rubric. So it came up with some different activities for me to do, and then it created a table for a rubric. I love having Gemini create tables for me because at the bottom you can click on export to sheets and it's going to make that Google Sheet for you. So if you get a lot of data from something, you can always say, can you make this into a table? And it'll make a table for you, and then you can export it to Google Sheets right away, and then it's easier to process through. So it created all these, and it gave me, it wasn't exactly what I wanted. So again, I modified it, and I said, thank you. Okay, always try and be polite to the AI overlords. Even though last week, the CEO of OpenAI said that saying please and thank you is costing them millions of dollars. Because the tool is processing each one of those words and each one of those letters on the back end. So the horsepower to actually respond to please and thank you is costing them millions of dollars. I'm still gonna do it because I wanna be nice to them. So that's just where I'm going, all right? So this is great. Can you please share any other activities? I have found in my experience with all the different AI tools, it's gonna give you a list, but to save on cost, it's not going to give you a comprehensive list. So always ask for more because it's going to give you more. It's going to give you 5 or 10 when it's got 11 billion behind the scenes. So just keep asking for more if you want more, okay? And then I also said, can you please list the activity and the associated rubric before listing the next activity? So I want activity, rubric, instead of all the activities, then a rubric. And it did that. So now I've got activity, a rubric for that activity. Activity, rubric for that activity. So it chunked it different. So again, if it's not giving you the answer that you want, tell it what you want. Be more specific and it'll get there for you. All right, let me see, how am I doing on time? I'm doing okay on time, kinda. All right, another fun way, you may not have known that you can add a file to a chat. And that's not the one. Here we go. So to add a file, all you do is click on the plus sign down here, and then you can add a file or you can add an image, like a PDF file or something, and say, analyze this for me, give me a summary of this, whatever, all right? So a really cool technique that I learned is called give me an MECE summary. I didn't know what an MECE summary was, but some AI people said it's really cool. So I had to look it up. Actually, I had AI look it up. MECE stands for mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive. So basically, it's a framework for analyzing something, and it looks at every aspect of that problem, make sure that they're all considered, and that no potential solutions or causes are missed. Because sometimes when we prompt AI, we're asking a question from our lens. We're not looking at all the other points of view that could be out there. So asking it using MECE, the 5 whys, 6 thinking hats, all those different frameworks that exist out there give you a more comprehensive approach to what you're looking at. So this was a PDF about teen use of AI, and I said, give me an MECE summary. It's about a 40-page PDF, and it gave me a really nice bullet point summary, so I don't have to go read that 40-page PDF. I can just read this and move on, okay? Because now I got the Cliff Notes version, for those of you that remember Cliff Notes. Okay. I think they're called Spark Notes now. They've shifted, so, all right. Another fun thing that you can do is you can upload an image. So that coral reef image that I created, I uploaded that and I said, write an educational narrative about that image. And we're gonna talk about Canvas. It popped up over here on the side, that's called Canvas. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But it came up with a pretty decent educational explanation of this is a miniature ecosystem, it's a symphony of life, why coral reefs are in peril, hope for the future. Again, I could ask more questions about that, all right? You can also do this with your own kids' work. I took this photo, it's actually hanging over in the West Support Center that was drawn by a 2nd grader. I see some heads nodding because we've seen it in the hallway. And I said, create a story about this image. And it came up with a pretty fun story about Cora the cockatoo, okay? And just made it up based on that image. That's all it had to work with, which is pretty cool. I then said, rewrite this story for 2nd graders and shorten it. And it did. Simplified the language and shortened the story. Again, I'm guiding it to give us that output that I'm looking for. So play with those pieces and parts. All right. Last thing I'm going to show you in Gemini is we talk about prompt engineering all the time. And there we go. You don't have to be a prompt engineer. Let AI be your prompt engineer. Have it write the prompt for you. Tell it what you want. You want a prompt that's comprehensive. Okay, so again, I told it you're expert in K-12 assessments. I've been teaching my 8th grade students about persuasive writing and write a detailed prompt that I can use in Gemini to generate a list of assessments so that I can confirm that my students have mastered the skills of persuasive writing. These assessments must also be something that students cannot use generative AI to cheat on. Because that's what we hear from teachers all the time is kids are using this to cheat. Well, have AI help you come up with some assessments that they can't use it to cheat on. Okay, let's work smarter, not harder. And so it came up with, this is the prompt. It is a very long prompt, but that's okay. The AI can handle it, all right? It can handle, I think, right now up to 1 million characters can get inserted into it. So this is not that long. So I pasted that entire prompt in here, and it came up with some assessment activities for me to use related to persuasive writing, including some targeted skills, why it's less susceptible to AI, and the implementation and evaluation. So it gave me all the steps. Again, I didn't have to think of that hard prompt. I let the AI generate that hard prompt for me, all right? So use these tools to their advantage. All right, we're now gonna switch over to Notebook LM. How many people have played with Notebook LM? Woohoo! Notebook LM is awesome. It's one of Google's latest tools. Sorry, let me switch it back to light mode so it's easier to see. This is a great tool because it helps minimize hallucinations, okay? Because sometimes AI will make stuff up. When you're using Notebook LM, it's only using the information that you give it to answer the questions that you ask, all right? So to build a notebook, you click on Create Notebook, and you can connect it to Google Docs, Google Slides. You can upload PDF files, text files, Markdown files, audio files. You can link to a website, which is really just a web page. It doesn't crawl the whole website. It just uses the page that you give it, okay? You can also go to YouTube videos, or you can copy and paste text in. Each notebook can have 50 sources, so each one of these is a source. You can have up to 50 sources within that notebook, all right? I'm gonna jump over to a pre-created notebook just so you guys can take a look at it. And I'm gonna find my staffing guide. Was it up? There it is. So the staffing guide is a really good document because I never remember what the staffing process is and how to post a position and things like that. So I uploaded the PDF of the staffing guide in here, and it already knows all the information about that. So I'm gonna type in, how do I create a position? Or wait, no, what was my other prompt, sorry. See, that's why I gotta stick to the script. What is the last day of the year to non-renew a teacher? HR people, don't answer that. It's not a shout out, we just wanna test the AI. It's gonna sift through that PDF and it gave me the answer, okay? So again, you can put in all kinds of content and things like that. What's great about this is it shows me in the document where it actually found that information. So I can trust and verify that AI isn't making things up because it's showing me exactly in that PDF file where it got that information, all right? So it's gonna give you some pre-generated responses down here that you could click on and you can go through if you want to. You could add more sources if you wanted to. If we had more sources related to this, we could. Over here on this side, we have a variety of tools as well. So one of them is a briefing doc. And let's see here. Nope, that's timeline. So the briefing doc is just gonna go through and it's gonna pull out all the key themes and it's gonna give you that bullet point summary, that Cliff Notes, Spark Notes summary of whatever sources you include in there. All right, so you can quickly summarize it. Which is pretty powerful, especially if you have a lot of different sources. Again, you can have up to 50. My favorite one to use over here is the timeline, especially with the HR staffing guide. That's why I use this for this demo, because it has a lot of dates in here. Notebook LM goes and pulls all the dates out and puts them in a chronological list for you, which is super, super powerful. And then my favorite part of this is it shows me the cast of characters. Okay, you can laugh, it's HR. So it went in and it pulled out all the names of everybody mentioned in that PDF file and lists them, and some of them even have their phone numbers and contact information down below as well. So it pulls all those pieces and parts and gives it to you in a nice, quick, simple summary, which is awesome. We also have over here, you could create an FAQ if you wanted to, so some frequently asked questions about it. Study guide, I'll show you in a minute, because study guide we're not doing a quiz, it's more appropriate for classroom than an HR staffing guide. So I'll show you that in a different example. Oh, forgot one other one. Let me go back to staffing guide. We now have a new tool in here that just came out over spring break, and it's called Mind Map. Mind maps are awesome if you're a visual person. So here it chunked all of the content about the HR staffing guide into different categories. And some of these categories have subcategories. Some of them have subcategories on subcategories. I'm trying to find one of those. Nope, don't have one. Sometimes you get extra categories and things like that. Now within this mind map, I can click on one of these and I can say, I want to learn about gifted education facilitators. When I click on that, it now makes a prompt back over here in the notebook and says, discuss what the sources say about gifted education facilitators in the larger context of licensure. So that's how you can more easily see some of the information and things like that and drill down if you want to, is using that mind map. So a great way to use that tool. Let's jump over to, oh, I forgot the podcast. Dang it, jumping all around. So this is an awesome feature within Notebook LM, is you can create an audio overview. So it's going to create a podcast for you so that you can listen to it. So if you don't want to read the PDF, you can listen to this 11-minute and 30-second podcast about the staffing guide. We'll see.
All right, so get this. We're going even to the Douglas County School District and their staffing and hiring guide for the 2025-26 school year. This isn't just like some random document, though. It's like,
And of course, you always have budget problems too.
yeah, for sure. And one of the first things you see in the guide is the timeline. March 3rd is like the big one. That's when they start posting the jobs.
Yeah.
But like, why that date? What's the thinking there?
Well, it looks like they finalized the staffing worksheets and all the budgets in February. So this gives them some time to get everything.
So that's all AI generated. You get the same 2 AI voices, though, for every one that you do. So if you do a lot of these, you get a little tired of hearing the same voices, okay? You can give them names if you want to. You can give them personas. Google had to tweak the algorithm a little bit when they originally created this. The male voice usually started first and came across as more knowledgeable than the female voice. Google got some feedback and they fixed that. So now it's random who starts and who goes second and who seems more knowledgeable and who's just kind of chiming in and that type of thing. So it's a really cool tool. It's pretty awesome. So take a look at that. It's a great way just to summarize some information. I know Allison's used it to summarize legislative documents that she gets to read through, like 180-page PDFs full of whereases and therefores. Who really wants to read that? Listen to a podcast and get the Cliff Notes version. It's way easier to go through that. All right, I'm going to fly through a couple other things just because we are running short on time. So documentation is a big one. Let's jump back over here. So Rick Kendall over there threw together all of the Canvas user guides and things like that and created a notebook about everything related to Canvas. Canvas is a learning management system that we use in our high schools. So I could go in here and say, let me cut and paste my response. How do I create an assignment? It's sifting through, I think it's got 20-some sources, something like that. It's sifting through all of those to give me an answer on here's how I create an assignment. So if you guys are implementing some things, I know I did an example with the Questica training guides and stuff like that. If you guys have some tools that your people are using, you can put all those into PDFs, add them into a notebook, and then you can share that notebook out to the system, and then people can just go ask those questions against there before calling you or putting in a help desk ticket or whatever. So super powerful to do that as well. All right, content curation. Oh, that actually, I'm going to jump over to that one. Coral reef one. All right, so this one I took 3 YouTube videos about coral reefs because we like the ocean, we'd rather be on the beach. And this one is a great example of creating that study guide. Nope, that is not it. Somebody just create a new one. Come on. There we go. So you can see it just took a few seconds to create that study guide. So it's giving me the key concepts. It's giving me a short answer quiz, answers to the quiz, essay format questions, and a glossary of key terms. So this is something, maybe I'm a substitute and I just got a whole bunch of content and I have no idea really what I'm talking about. You could use this, create that content, distribute that out to the students and give them a little quiz, give them some key things to talk about and think about. All right? My favorite one, I gotta find it, there we go. take all of the manuals for every appliance in your house and make a notebook, okay? I did this last night during the board meeting, and I grabbed a whole bunch of random, I was kind of paying attention, it wasn't my time. I grabbed a whole bunch of manuals off of the Home Depot website for different appliances, washers, dryers, refrigerators, you name it. I threw all those in the notebook, and now I can go in and I can say, my dishwasher won't drain. And from the manufacturer's manual, it's going to tell me what I should look at. Simple, fast, okay? Then think about it, when you sell your house, you just transfer this notebook to the next owner, and now they have a manual for how your house works. That's kind of cool, right? So another fun one, what can I make in my blender? Got this fancy blender, it was on sale, don't know what I can do in it. So I can make smoothie blends, processed foods, I can make doughs and batters. Did you know you could do that in your blender? Possibly. So anyway, just a lot of different ways to use it, but that's a really practical use because we all have appliances in our houses and things like that, and none of us can find the manuals when we need to. So just throw those into a notebook LM and run with that. All right, we are running short on time. So again, I'm gonna have some videos in here. So another cool couple things to do. One of them is deep research. Back in Gemini, they now have a new tool called Deep Research, and you get to that by clicking in the top corner and going down to Deep Research. You can only do 10 of these a month, okay? Because it does extensive research. So I did one the other day about how do we use generative AI to enhance professional learning communities in K-12 education. Usually, when you're just using Gemini, it gives you a short answer. Deep research gives you a lengthy answer. So this answer is 25 pages long, okay? It went out and it searched 160 websites to get this answer to compile all of it. So it gives you a very extensive analysis of how to use generative AI in a PLC. So think about some of those things that maybe aren't complex that you do in your job, but maybe you want a different analysis of, is this the right way to do it? We're thinking about trying something new. Use deep research to do it. Again, you only get 10 a month. It'll start to warn you when you get closer. It'll be like, you've used 7 until, May 20th. You can't, go over 10. But you can see this is what it did, and it cites all the websites that it uses so that you can go verify that information. Super, super powerful. We've been using this a lot in IT to analyze some of the processes and things that we do. Is this the best way? Are there different ways? You can tell it in your prompt when you ask it, say, don't use any information older than 2022 or whatever. So you can put some time bounds on it. Otherwise, it's going to go back and search and find things from 1988, and you're like, that's not relevant now. So you can tell it to kind of hone in on that. So super powerful. Play with that. Check that out. All right, so again, I'm gonna run through, I'm gonna share all those resources. You can see it says coming soon. I've got some videos already done for the Gemini examples, but I've got more to come along. So hopefully by the end of the week, I'll have those done. I've also got some Notebook LM resource documents that I used Gemini to create on use cases for different departments and school staff. Social media is a great way to get some cool information and stuff like that. Sometimes social media can be a little toxic. Blue Sky is a little less toxic, and it's got some great folks using AI in education and Google tools and things like that, so I'm just sharing those resources. Here's some simple things to try when you're using AI. Next time you go to do a Google search, use Gemini instead. You actually get a better result, and actually Google now embeds the Gemini result anyway at the top, but just go over to Gemini and give it a try. If you need to research something, ask Gemini, help me understand blank. Okay? Just start trying these simple things and explore the tools. Here's some other suggestions and stuff like that. This is something that's super important. We can't prepare our kids for everything. We must prepare them for anything. Because we don't know what the next thing is. AI kind of jumped up and caught us off guard a couple years ago, and now we're all really loving it and using it. So again, please cheat at work. Please cheat at work. All right? Before we leave, we want to gather some feedback, and I'll make sure and send this out to you all. Again, you're going to need your phone because we're going to do a slide-do. Again, channeling my inner Jolie.
You're great.
I'm trying. So what are your top two takeaways from today's presentation, including Aaron's part of the presentation as well, more importantly? And this is going to be open. This survey is going to be open. So I'm going to run through these questions real quick because I know we're tight on time. How would you rate your level of excitement for the future of our district? Sad face to hard eyes. With the future in mind, do you believe our district is on the right or the wrong track? I need to change my answer. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, one of those, right? I'll fix that. Oops. Tell us why you believe our district is on the right or wrong track. And then I have some AI questions in here. Again, I'm going to run through these really quick, but this is going to be available to you guys. As of spring 2025, how often do you use AI in your role as a DCSD staff member? What do you like most about using AI? And then we have an open field if you have some other things that weren't on that list. You can definitely fill those in. If you have not used AI or rarely do, let us know why. Do you need more training? Do you need more support? Do you not know what tool you could try? Lean toward Gemini. Gemini is great because it's in our DCSD environment and they don't use anything you enter in there to train their model because it's an education license. So definitely try and aim toward Gemini, but in some ways ChatGPT is better right now. It's kind of this constant back and forth. Overall, the Gemini brain is the smartest AI brain currently out there and has been for a couple weeks. That's going to change in moments. OpenAI, ChatGPT is catching up to us, okay? Please share any job-specific examples of how you used it, AI in your job. So that is all I have. Again, the quiz is going to be open so you guys can answer it when you guys head back to your workspace and things like that. But thank you guys. I hope you had fun. If you want more information about AI and what we can do, and if you need more training for your department or whatever, let Rick and I know. Rick and I love coming and doing department-focused trainings for you guys. This is something we're super passionate about, and we want to really help more people leverage AI tools as they can in their workplace. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
About slide duties.